What's going on, guys? I'm just a couple of years away from turning 40, and while that is not a particular cause for alarm or anything like that, and many people in my training circle are well over 40 and beyond and still doing fine. This is not something that's cause for alarm, but it's one of those things that you think about it and you feel it, when you're experiencing it yourself as opposed to observing it. And you notice the extra gray hairs coming in the beard, the temples, and things like that, and you start thinking about age. Well, the other side of it is I have students who are my dad's age. I have students who are my seniors in years, and the fact is that when you're dealing with training into and through older age, you just have to kind of tinker with it and auto-regulate as you go. So there's two things here that we need to look at. Number one is the state of condition that you're going into old age with, right? Ip Man is quoted as having said, train hard when you're young, because if you don't, you'll have nothing when you're old. Now, that is certainly not a unique or original statement. A lot of people have said the same thing in varying combinations of words. But there's a lot of truth to that. If you build yourself up as athletic as you can be, as strong as you can be, as conditioned as you can be, and get to a point of being able to maintain that for years and years and years, as you age, you will age much, much better. You will be able to perform at a much higher rate because essentially, right, if you talk about natural age-related degeneration, 10 minus 1 is 9, but 100 minus 1 is 99. You might be degrading at the same rate, but if you have that higher level, you're not going to feel it as much because you have a higher or larger reserve to pull from. So that's a major part of it. What are you coming into your twilight years with? That's a really, really important part. Now, there's a lot of things that can offset that. You could have a really great run in your 20s and then have a catastrophic illness or injury, completely resets you to baseline, and you have to rebuild. Well, that sucks, but there's something we can do about that. That's the other side of it, is what do we do if you don't have a baseline, or if you've lost your baseline and all of a sudden you're 40 plus, you're 50 plus, and you want to get back into martial arts, or you want to get back into weightlifting or whatever, and you go, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. Well, let's talk about a couple of things here that are pretty important. One, there's not really any such thing as a special population. There may be some trends that we can point to with certain populations, but the fact is that individual differences far outweigh group-related differences, right? And remember, being an individual comes well before being part of a group. Being part of a group is kind of third, right? Human first, individual second, part of a group third. That's kind of how that works and kind of how it has to work. And when it comes to like statistical data, that's kind of what we see, right? Well, you are categorically human, and then you're an individual. And then we can kind of, once we look at that data, based on those individual differences, we can group trends that we see and see if there are other common trends. That's kind of how we figure those groups out. It's kind of a back-end thing. So being older doesn't automatically put you into some kind of group of disabled people. Age is not really a disability. And natural age-related degeneration affects everybody differently. But one thing that we can say is that as you age, your body's ability to recover tends to start declining, and your ability to absorb protein tends to start declining. Oftentimes your sleep patterns tend to start declining. You start having declining capacities in those ways. Why do we lose muscle as we age? I mean, other than, again, natural age-related degeneration and, the telomeres eventually shortening and creating complete cell death and not creating new cells fast enough and all that. One of the other things we're looking at is if recovery is slower, you can't work out as hard or as much as you used to, which means that the stimulus goes down, which means the adaptations go down to the point of, potentially being completely non-existent by the time you are out of here. So when we're looking at this, the major thing that we should be considering then really is going to be your capacity to recover, because your capacity to recover is going to be what dictates your capacity to work hard. So now there are, of course, all sorts of things that you can do to enhance your ability to recover, from, of course, progressive exercise load to nutrition to supplementation to flat out drugs. Obviously, I can't endorse illegal drugs, and medical drug use is something to be discussed with your doctor, not with me. You are not always going to be able to live by the teachers, schools, and styles that you want. But we live in a miraculous age where all of that information is at your fingertips, if only you have the willingness and the dedication to put in the work on your own. If you are one of those people, join the Black Sun Boxing Satellite Apprenticeship Program today. If you look from a recovery capacity standpoint first, then what you do is you start somebody off. Say, if somebody's coming in with a baseline of zero, of untrained human, then you might start them off, say, hey, just come in 2 days a week and let's see what we can do. And if they're feeling pretty good, you can bump it up a day. And you keep doing that, you keep progressing it to the point where they have a relatively normal training load. And then once they have that normal training load, modulate the intensity for them so that if they start complaining about fatigue and soreness and things like that, just take the edge off a little bit, drop it 10% and see what you can do with it. Don't automatically say, well, hey, you're over 50, you can only train 2 days a week. Don't put people in a box like that, and don't put yourself in a box like that if you're getting older either. The whole point of training in any system, whether it's a strength and conditioning system, an athletic system, martial arts, whatever, the whole point of these systems is so that you develop enough knowledge so that you can auto-regulate. You're not supposed to be an apprentice forever. You're supposed to be able to become a journeyman and eventually a master. You are supposed to be able to take those skills and put them to work for you, not always being under somebody else. Doesn't mean that you're not always going to have teachers, but you shouldn't be under the same teacher for the same skill forever. That just means that they're holding you back. So that being the case, right, you want to make sure that you are, if you're doing this yourself, that you are developing a knowledge base, whether you do this internally or you write stuff down and keep tables, which writing stuff down is a good idea. You should definitely be tracking how you're dealing with stress and how you're recovering and what kind of progress you're making. Even if it's subjective, you should be able to do those kind of things, and that's going to help you continue to make progress as you age. Because the fact is, even if your recovery capacity is blunted, you can still make some progress. I mean, unless you were just at the pinnacle of your ability, which very few people ever get to, there's always progress to be made. And there's always going to be natural, layoffs, injuries, and illnesses, and, just time away from training due to other life events and things like that. There's always going to be ground to make up. So there's already a 2 steps forward, 1 step back program in effect just due to the chaos of life. You don't need to add to that. So, go into it with the idea that you can make progress and learn how to auto-regulate yourself and feel what you're feeling and rate what you're feeling and understand how that translates to, this is something I can work through, this is something that I need to take a day off and rest a little bit more. And if you can do that, you can train well into your twilight years and be doing fine. Plenty of martial artists have gone into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, theoretically beyond, and done just fine. Yes, they're slower, they're not as athletic, they're not as strong, they're not sparring full contact anymore, but that's fine. The fact is that they're still training, they're still getting after it, they're still doing it because it's something that they care about, and it's something that they love, and it's something they want to do. It's something that they deem important to their lives. Don't let age rob you of things that are important to you. Just modulate and make it work. All right, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, give the dog a bone. You can follow us on our other social media accounts, and if you really like us, you can head over to Amazon and buy a shirt. You can also go over to Gumroad and purchase some of our instructional courses. All of the links will be provided and also on our website. If you happen to be in the Phoenix area, we would love to meet you. Come drop in for a class, even just to chat. And if you're looking for a new home, we would be happy to have you. So until next time, good journey.